your life in your hands, don't you, every time you get in your dinghy?
Well, normally, yeah. It's actually fairly still today. It's a first, so I think this is going to be the first time we arrive somewhere not soaking wet, because even in Spanish water with no swell, there's normally enough chop to splash you, isn't there?
And there are so many people here. It's a fantastic community, actually.
It is. There's boats absolutely everywhere. Most of them Dutch. I think Holland must be pretty much empty of sailors because they're all here. But it's just like having winter in the Med. Everyone gathers during hurricane season. So far, it seems to be Grenada in here.
Hello and welcome to Curaçao, where we've been spending time with other cruisers.
Yes, waiting for hurricane season to finish and the weather to get just a little bit cooler.
I hope you like the film. Coming up, a walk along the coastline before the sun gets too hot. Sailing to Klein, Curaçao for a beach barbecue. And what are the best games to play while waiting for the end of hurricane season?
So we tried the evening walks and they didn't really work, did they?
It's still very hot. Yeah.
So this is the alternative, 6 a.m. and there are people out running, so you know it's actually cool enough at the moment, but let's see for how long.
It's the best hours of the day, between 6 and 8. After that you're done.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We're not the only ones making an early start, though I'm not sure everyone here is a volunteer.
6 a.m. run.
I guess this is a school holiday club. Spanish water is not an obvious place for a country walk. The area around the anchorage is quite industrial, but once you get past that, there are some lovely beaches. We're walking from Papagayo Beach to Mambo Beach, about 3 kilometres. Just right for a morning stroll.
Look good?
It looks beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah, a great pool. Infinity pool at the beginning here. Papagayo Beach Resort this is. Well, that is cool.
That is seriously cool. How wonderful.
Is this freshwater or saltwater?
Can't be saltwater, is it?
Yeah, saltwater pool.
Yeah. How lovely.
You just pump it up from the sea, I suppose. Great idea. Infinity pool with seawater. Where are we headed, by the way?
Along the coast now. So along the coast up to the next beach, Mambo Beach.
Mambo Beach.
Yes, Mambo Beach.
Mambo Beach.
Lovely.
I'm not sure a lot of people come on this walk.
I think the hazards are the scratchy things rather than the climb sometimes.
Yeah, lots of scratchy things.
Parts of the trail don't quite reach the coastline we found, but there's always a way through.
It's a lake.
It's beautiful. But it's now quite a well-marked path, which is great because it's gone 8 o'clock and ordinarily we'd be melting by now. But actually there's quite good cloud cover. So, still very humid. But I think we'll make it for breakfast.
This is Mambo Beach. It's supposed to be a happening place. Completely empty at the moment. It's a bit of a shame because I thought we'd have breakfast.
I think we're a bit early.
But we did manage to find somewhere open just about in the end, but not very good food, overpriced, touristy, that sort of stuff, and there is no bus going back, so we are now walking.
Well, that's on us because what we needed was the app, which does show plenty of bus routes. They run every hour or so. Maybe next time. Or instead, let's go by car. Curaçao is a small island, easily seen in a day. We stopped to spot some beautiful beaches, and a poisonous tree, unique to the Caribbean. The manzanilla fruit trees. Apparently, even just touching the bark, and you could die.
It makes you want to touch it though, doesn't it?
It does. No, I don't think you could die just touching it, but it's not nice. It's not nice if you get it on your skin.
Yeah, you can't stand up under them in the rain, apparently.
No. And the roads are not bad at all, with some beautiful tree-lined avenues. Does it remind you of Holland?
Well, that bit did. Tree-lined. It's that and the houses, isn't it? Very Dutch.
The other reason to hire a car is to take a trip to the airport, because there are plenty of flights from here to Amsterdam. From there, it's a short hop for me to the UK to visit family for a few days.
So I can't put it off any longer. It is time to do the rubbing down on all my toe rails and get the varnishing done. It has to be done early morning, really, before 9 o'clock. I get up at 6, get a few hours rubbing in done, and then I'll do the varnishing in the evening. First coat anyway. I did manage to get some sanding discs in town with the car, so it's toe rails first. And no problem varnishing in the evenings here, although the evenings are quite short in the tropics, but at least there's no dew, so the varnish doesn't get spoiled. When it's too hot to be outside, I switch to the interior, so at least I've got some shade. Hand sanding inside, it doesn't need much, and no thinning needed in this heat, but I am concerned about the satin varnish. It's looking very shiny. Normal when it's wet, of course, but this should be looking matte by now. Well, that didn't work. It's all still very shiny. So, yeah, obviously it was satin. I only bought this in Grenada a couple of weeks ago, but it's obviously sat on the shelf for a long time. There was a hard sludge at the bottom that I couldn't mix up, and that's all the stuff that's supposed to make it satin, obviously. So it's just come out gloss. So that's annoying. It means I've got to go back into town again today. I did manage to get my hair cut in town yesterday, pretty fierce. They didn't speak any English, so yeah, they're just like having it done in Turkey. They just chop it all off. But yeah, it'll take a while before I need to go back, at least, I suppose. But I do need to go back into town now to get some satin and to get some more paintbrushes and some white spirit, stuff like that. Okay, back from the shops. There's a good bus service here, so it's all pretty easy. Toe rails looking a lot better. I do need a couple more coats on there. I'm going to need a little bit more of that varnish, the wood skin that I use from that. But I did have success in the shops getting some satin varnish for inside, so I'm going to have to get the rest of the cushions out again and start again with this, do the the rubbing down. It's really shiny, that stuff, the last one I used. But yeah, I found this clear satin. I wasn't that pleased because the lid is really rusted, but it's all right. There's no sludge at the bottom like there was with the other one, so hopefully this one will actually retain its satin look. So I've got to rub all this down again, start again. So it's time for my morning coffee. Already got a few jobs done. I've been around and done a bit of a touch up on the bits of varnish that needed a little bit extra. There's always a few bits and pieces, so while those dry, I'm going to do a few jobs outside. I'm actually going to treat myself today and go out for a sail. I think I deserve it. So I'm going to go out to a place called Klein, Curaçao, which is a little island a couple of hours offshore. But before I do that, I've got a bit of a job to do, which is take the outboard off. It's a pain. That is the problem with having the petrol outboard. A lot of people have asked about the propulsion and why we changed it. It was just because it was a problem with the battery and we needed something quick. And to be honest, in the Caribbean, it is useful to have something that's got a bit more speed and range. So I'm glad we've got both, but we will definitely be going back to the propulsion as soon as we get a new battery, which will hopefully be in Aruba. Because taking this thing off, even when there's both of us, is tricky. But now I've got to try and wrestle it off all on my own, so I'll do that. I also had to cut the lock off it, because that just in the week that we've been here, or 2 weeks I suppose, it's rusted, so I had to cut it off. But yeah, I'm going to have my coffee, then I'm going to do a bit of wrestling with the engine. It's not too heavy, but it is awkward. Luckily, there's no swell here in Spanish water. I think this will be next to impossible in a really rolly anchorage. Difficult to get around. There we go. Get the crane on it and lift it across now. Whew. I should probably have just used the crane straight away, but it's difficult to get positioned when standing on the dinghy.
You do quickly discover the things that become difficult single-handed. Anything to do with anchoring in the wind is one of them.
A gusty wind that makes it very difficult on your own, backwards and forwards. Yeah, chain's almost as bad as it was in Grenada. Gonna have to look for some nice sand to drag that around in. So that's it, it's nice to be back out in the ocean, even though it is just a motor really. It's right into the wind and the swell. So there was a problem with backtracking anywhere in the ABCs. Should have stopped at Klein, Curaçao on the way in really, but yeah, we didn't know what a good place it is to go apparently, so I want to check it out. And it will be a nice little rest, be a place to sort of sit there, make some water in the clean water. It's better to do it there than in Spanish water where it is a bit murky. I can clean the bottom obviously as well. I'm looking at that chain as I brought it up. It's definitely going to need a good clean, so I can spend my time doing that, having a bit of a rest and exploring Curaçao. I will obviously, when we're out in deep water as well, empty the black water tanks because we've been in there 3 weeks, so you know they've got to be pretty full by now. So yeah, it's good to do, get all those sorts of things done.
It's just a 2 or 3 hour trip, probably good to give the engine a run. A headwind, but not too much swell. Klein Curaçao is flat and long. I anchor away from the others a bit so I can let a lot of chain out so it can get cleaned by the sand.
Well, I just rowed ashore and a little bit of a beach there. We'll put it up onto this ledge though because we get a few waves coming in there. All meeting up for a bit of a barbecue down the end of the beach. All the tourist boats have gone home, so it's just the yachties left.
The old lighthouse is really the only upright thing on the island, apart from a few hangout places for the day trippers. We found a spot along the beach a bit, sheltered from the wind, and have a feast of nasi goreng, courtesy of Eric. Dutch sailors always do good Indonesian rice, and a really nice rum cake from Alison. So good food, good company, a couple of beers, and a very nice sunset. But of course there is one question. Was there a green flash? Wait for it. Wait for it. No. Next morning, I decide the island is in need of some further exploration, so I head for the lighthouse. Fully automatic now, so there's no need for a lighthouse keeper.
So apart from the little beach area there that the tourist motorboats come to during the day, there's not a lot here. It's pretty barren. It's had a bit of a bad history really. It was a quarantine place for slaves, so most of it's a mass graveyard. Most of them would have died here, and yeah, it's also been decimated by the many goats that they had here over hundreds of years. It used to be a lot of good flora and fauna here and turtles coming ashore and stuff, but that's all gone now. But it has still got this lovely old lighthouse, so I'm going to go and explore.
It's flaky now and missing some flaws, but structurally still good after almost 200 years. With nothing to impede its view, it sits bang in the middle of the island. The light doesn't sweep now, it's just an LED lamp turning on and off at intervals. It's effective, but there's still some casualties on the windward side. This French 50-foot yacht floundered here in 2007.
Wow, what a shame. This is not a forgiving shore to get washed up on. Got sand on this bit here, but stone everywhere around here. Look at it. Not much left of that keel. There's a bit of it on the floor there. Wow. I had an encapsulated keel, but nothing can survive these rocks. Smash through it. See the iron in the bottom of it. Wow.
17 years on the rocks. The oil tanker Maria Bianca Guidesman has been here for almost 40. Well, that was a nice little trip to Klein, Curaçao. I'm really glad I did that. It's an interesting place to look around. Nice to have some of the friends from Spanish waters that come up at the same time. I didn't know they were going to be there, so that was really nice. And got quite a lot done. It's nice to be able to clean the bottom in really clear water. That's the problem with Spanish water, is it's a bit murky in there. You don't really want to be in there cleaning the bottom, but here it's perfect. And yeah, I've just got the Nomad on deck, so I need to give it a freshwater wash. I gave the last sort of scrape today, but it really makes a difference having this. It would have taken me a week of, you know, sort of 3-hour days going down there doing it, but I just did it in 2 sessions in 2 days, about an hour each, because you can just stay down and get it done. So yeah, really good. Rocking around a little bit just on the foresail. Needs a pole out really, but I don't think I can really be bothered. It's only about an hour. It's difficult to do on your own, so I'll just bear away a little bit, get a bit more wind in it, and then jibe across and get back into Spanish water. See if I can find a spot in there. It's getting quite packed in there. As you can see, it is pretty packed here in the anchorage. In fact, so much so that I couldn't get into the anchorage we were in before, over in Zone C. So we're in Zone A, but that's okay. It's good here. Another good thing, Judy's back.
Yes, hello. A few days away, it's been lovely, but we are now actually closer to the dock, which is a very good position.
We're the closest boat to the dock, I think.
We are.
Right there, which is good because we're going shopping.
Yeah, we are. I'm just going to get the dinghy in. There is a regular shopping bus for cruisers, which is handy for anyone wanting to get boat parts or food. Twice a week it stops at the supermarket and the Chandler's. It has everything you need, a lot imported from Holland, and the free bus takes us back to the dinghy dock. And in the afternoon, a new game for us, Mexican Train Dominoes. It took us a while to pick it up, and now we are hooked. And unlike cards, the tiles don't blow away, so perfect for the Caribbean. After the game, next door there's an excellent fish restaurant. This is the restaurant where local people come to eat, and that's why it's so fantastic. The best prawns in town.
They're great.
Shrimps, actually, not prawns. And there are so many people here. It's a fantastic community, actually.
It is. There's boats absolutely everywhere. Most of them Dutch. I think Holland must be pretty much empty of sailors because they're all here. But it's just like we're having winter in the Med. Everyone gathers during hurricane season. So far, it seems to be Grenada in here, doesn't it?
It does. They've got families, you've got couples, lots of divers, and quite a few single-handed sailors.
Yeah, we've got to see one now over there, John, and he's written a book.
Old Man Sailing is a book John wrote about sailing his 1973 sailboat Samsara. She's a 32-foot rival, and he has a tale to tell. So John, have you always been a solo sailor?
Yes, probably. I mean, I started when I was 5 with my family, and the first proper boat I had was in my late 20s, and that was a Caprice, 18 feet. And I just started sailing that in Poole Harbour on my own, and I had a dinghy, that's right, I had a dinghy when I was about 14, and I used to sail that on my own. I'm very bad at giving orders. So I'm not...
Most people say they're bad at taking them.
Yeah. And so I'm much better off on my own. I mean, occasionally people try and come with me, and I have to make all sorts of excuses. It gets very embarrassing. My children come with me, but that's different.
You're very at home on the boat. I mean, you left home because of COVID, because you didn't want to be on land.
Yeah.
And you knew that you wouldn't be able to make land anymore. You just sat on the boat for months.
When COVID first struck, I was in Lowestoft, sitting on the boat, and they announced that the over 70s weren't just going to have to, lock down, and so they were going to have to shield, it was called.
Yeah.
They were not going to be allowed out of their houses. The neighbours would have to bring them food, and they were going to basically be imprisoned.
Yeah.
And I didn't care for that at all. So I decided to push off to sea, and I couldn't go down the English Channel because it's not, you don't get 12 miles on each side.
No, you have international waters.
There are no international, so I had to go over the top. And I went down to the Azores, and I had a plan to go to the Azores and then do a sort of figure eight around the Canaries and then come all the way back. But I blew out my mainsail before I got there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an old mainsail anyway, and it was just,
So you managed to provision on this boat for that amount of time, though, because it's almost an indefinite amount of time. If you're going to be at sea and COVID's hit, so you can't land.
Yeah. And I didn't have any communications then, so I had no idea what was going on, or how long it was going to last and so on. But I blew out the mainsail, so I thought, well, maybe I could get one sent to the Azores, but how long would that take to get through customs? So I think the only thing to do is to come back, pick it up in Falmouth. And so I came back, and as I came back, it was all coming to an end. So it was 42 days and 300,600 miles or something.
Yeah.
But then, of course, what happened was that I was underneath the galley trying to find out why the sink was leaking, and I had Jeremy Vine's program on, and he was saying, it's all coming to an end, we can all go out, but what are you going to miss about COVID? Was there anything you liked about it?
Yeah.
And so I sent an email saying, well, I missed the whole thing, I went sailing. And they read it out.
Yeah.
And the next morning, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I had a phone call from the BBC. Would I mind giving a 10-minute interview with Jeremy Vine? And I said, I'm sure I can manage that. So I did the 10-minute interview, and he's really good because he if you mention you've got a blog, he then repeats it at the end and makes sure everybody can write down the address. That night, the blog had 40,000 hits.
Wow.
And the WordPress site apparently crashed under the onslaught. And then, of course, people started contacting me, and one of the people was a literary agent.
Yeah.
So BBC said, look, this literary agent wants your phone number. Is it all right to give it to him? I thought, don't be so bloody stupid. How much can I pay you to give my number to a literary agent? So I put it on Amazon.
Yeah.
And it sold a few copies, it sold a few more, it sold 11,000 now.
Wow, very good.
And it spawned an entire genre.
Yeah.
I have, I think there are 8 books now in all.
An inspiration for all of us. And I hope we'll meet again in another anchorage very soon. John's on his way now to Aruba, where he's going to pick up some lithium batteries. His details are in the description.
Yeah, we'll probably catch up with him because it's sort of a bit of a one-way train here with the easterly wind. Everyone's going that way, Aruba, and then on to either Colombia, Panama, somewhere like that. We'll be doing that and then heading north towards the Cayman Islands at some point, but we don't know when really. Exactly.
And we have got some things to pick up in Aruba ourselves. A solar panel, which is much needed because...
Hopefully, 2.
Really?
Bifacial one, new fold-out bifacial one, and a big one from EcoFlow, which is waterproof because our old ones died. I mean, if we could get them really going properly, I think we could have the aircon on in the aft cabin, which would be a great relief.
But even with just the fan last night, we lost power completely.
We did the first time, actually.
Yeah.
We run down to 20%, and our system cuts off at 20%. We weren't sort of keeping a close enough eye and using a lot up. I think we had the water maker going all day, so that's what did it. So yeah, we've got to be a little bit careful. We're on the edge.
We're on the edge of power. But once we get sailing, of course, you use the motor a little bit just to get in and out of anchorages, and that usually is enough to top us up.
Yeah.
And then, before we go further afield, we will be parking the boat and going to Annapolis.
Yeah, only sort of 3 or 4 weeks ago. So away. So that's really good. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to some cooler weather. To sort of having a blanket on the bed.
So we hope it snows. Is that okay? Can it snow in Annapolis? That would be really good. Really good.
It might rain. It quite often rains, but yeah, I don't mind that.
So we're looking forward to seeing you if you're going to be at Annapolis. I'm looking forward to seeing some new boats, new ideas.
We'll put a code as well. We've got a code for some money off, which we put in. There's a lot of things going in the description this time. Read the description.
Yes, we don't usually bother with the description, but yes, do read the description this time. But it has been lovely to meet up with lots of people here. And people often ask us about the community because we had a really good community in the Mediterranean. And it's just as good here. Basically, where there's a boatie, there's a community,
Well,
it seems to me.
idea. It's a similar thing to winter in the Med, really. You know, it's hurricane season, people are hanging around, and yeah, and the community will pop up, especially somewhere like this where there's so many boats. So yeah, it's good.
So we'll probably meet some new people when we get to Aruba. So thank you very much to our patrons, thank you to our subscribers, and thank you for watching. And next time we'll be in Aruba.
Yeah, thanks for watching.